We know that this new era of technology is going to require the best and brightest minds for AI.
You know what's bizarre about modern technology? We're surrounded by computing power that would have seemed like science fiction 20 years ago, yet most of it sits completely unused. Your smartphone, your laptop, even your smart fridge. They're all burning electricity while doing basically nothing for huge chunks of the day. But here's where things get really interesting. Elon Musk just realized that Tesla owners are driving around with supercomputers under their hoods, and he's got a plan that sounds equal parts genius and completely insane. Let's talk about what's actually inside a Tesla. When most people think about their car's computer, they picture something handling the radio and navigation. But Tesla vehicles are operating on an entirely different level. These machines pack custom-designed AI processors that crunch through massive amounts of data every single second while driving. Multiple cameras feed gigabytes of visual information that gets analyzed in real time, identifying pedestrians, reading traffic signs, predicting what other drivers might do next. The computational workload happening inside a Tesla during autonomous driving rivals what serious gaming PCs handle.
All this led us to determine that it is imperative for Tesla to take action now.
Just opens right up like magic.
That's very cool. And a good-sized bed, yeah.
Inside, you can order on the touchscreens with menu options including the Tesla burger, fried chicken and waffles, a cinnamon roll, and more.
How strong is that?
You can walk on this thing.
You can walk on it?
Yeah. It's very strong.
Now here's the thing that apparently keeps Musk up at night. All that computational horsepower goes completely dormant the moment you park. Americans drive their cars on average less than an hour per day. That means 23 hours of expensive, sophisticated hardware just sitting there, powered down, contributing nothing. From a resource utilization perspective, it's almost comically wasteful. Imagine buying a professional espresso machine and only using it once a day for 5 minutes. That's essentially what's happening with millions of Tesla vehicles worldwide. During a recent investor call, Musk started riffing on this idea out loud, and you could almost hear the gears turning in his head. He started wondering, what if those bored cars could actually do something useful during their downtime? What if Tesla could network them together, creating what he called a giant distributed inference fleet? The numbers he threw out were staggering. With enough vehicles in the fleet, each packing roughly a kilowatt of processing capability, you'd potentially have 100 gigawatts of computing power scattered across the planet. For context, that's competitive with the world's largest data center operations, except it wouldn't require building massive facilities or installing enormous cooling systems. The infrastructure would already exist, distributed across parking lots, garages, and streets everywhere. The timing of this idea matters. Tesla's developing their AI 5 chip right now, and this thing is an absolute monster. We're talking about inference performance that's 10 times better than their current hardware, with some specific tasks running 40 times faster. But here's what makes it particularly relevant to this distributed computing dream. The chip can throttle its power consumption based on workload complexity. Running simple tasks, it sips power. Processing complex scenarios, it ramps up to 800 watts. This variable power draw is crucial because it means parked vehicles could handle computing tasks without necessarily demolishing their battery charge. So what would this actually look like in practice? Picture coming home from work and plugging in your Tesla for the night. While the battery charges, the car's AI processor connects to Tesla's network and starts accepting computational jobs. Maybe it's running inference tasks for language models, basically helping AI systems like ChatGPT generate responses faster. Maybe it's processing batch workloads for scientific research. Maybe other companies are renting this distributed computing power for their own AI applications. Your car becomes a tiny node in an enormous planetary brain, earning you passive income while you sleep. Tesla saves billions avoiding data center construction. Everyone wins, except, well, there's about a dozen reasons why this might never work.
We rely upon Elon. Many people come to Tesla specifically to work with Elon.
Next week, where investors in the company will vote on a new pay package for CEO Elon Musk.
We speak of Elon as a transformational leader, but we should also consider that we believe he's the right leader.
Tesla is currently valued at around $700 billion.
While you're charging your car, you can order food and catch a movie on the two 66-foot-tall mega screens.
Let's start with the elephant in the room. Who's paying the power bill? Running computations consumes electricity. That electricity either drains your battery or comes from the charging station you're plugged into. If you're charging at home, that's coming straight out of your pocket at residential rates, which are substantially higher than what industrial data centers pay. Unless Tesla compensates owners generously enough to cover electricity costs plus equipment wear, why would anyone voluntarily turn their $60,000 vehicle into a server farm? The internet connectivity problem might be even more fundamental. Professional data centers connect to the internet backbone through dedicated fiber lines with incredibly low latency and massive bandwidth. Your car parked outside, maybe it's connecting through your home Wi-Fi, which could work. But what about vehicles parked at workplaces, shopping centers, street parking? They'd rely on cellular connections with variable quality, higher latency, and potential data caps. Effective distributed computing requires reliable, low-latency communication between nodes. When those nodes are scattered randomly across entire continents, each with different connection quality, coordinating complex computational tasks becomes exponentially harder. Here's another wrinkle nobody's really solved: motivation. Why would Tesla owners agree to this? The SETI at Home project worked because volunteers were excited about searching for alien life. Folding at Home attracted participants who wanted to contribute to medical research. Those projects tapped into people's altruism and curiosity. But Tesla's proposal is fundamentally commercial. The company wants to monetize computing resources that owners purchased and maintain. Unless the financial incentives are substantial, and I mean really substantial, getting widespread participation seems questionable at best. Then we wade into the swamp of privacy concerns, and oh boy does this get murky fast. Tesla's vehicles are already capturing tremendous amounts of visual data through their camera systems. Stories have emerged about Tesla employees sharing footage from customer vehicles, videos showing people in garages, driveways, private moments captured by cameras that owners assumed were just for safety features. Now imagine that data collection expanding as part of a distributed computing network. What information gets transmitted? How is it secured? Who has access? Tesla would need ironclad privacy protections and transparent data handling policies, or they'd face justifiable backlash and potential legal nightmares. Security researchers are already raising red flags. Turning millions of personal vehicles into networked computing nodes creates attractive targets for hackers. Compromise enough vehicles, and you could potentially create a botnet with physical mobility. We're not just talking about stealing data anymore. We're talking about systems that control actual transportation. The security requirements would be absolutely paramount, and implementing them at scale across a heterogeneous fleet presents enormous challenges. Battery longevity adds another concern. Lithium-ion batteries degrade with use, and intensive computing generates heat, which accelerates that degradation. Using your vehicle's battery for computational tasks, when it's supposed to be either resting or charging, could reduce its useful lifespan. Considering that battery replacement represents one of the most expensive maintenance items for electric vehicles, owners would rightfully worry about accelerated wear. Tesla would probably need to offer extended warranties or compensation programs, adding costs that might undermine the whole economic model. From an engineering perspective, coordinating this distributed network presents fascinating challenges. Traditional distributed computing systems work best with homogeneous nodes, computers with similar capabilities, predictable availability, and consistent network connectivity. Tesla's fleet offers none of that. You'd have vehicles with different hardware generations, ranging from older hardware 3 systems to cutting-edge AI 5 chips. Some cars would be available for hours. Others might disconnect after 30 minutes. Network quality would fluctuate based on location and time. Creating software that efficiently distributes workloads across such an unpredictable, heterogeneous system would require some seriously sophisticated engineering. Yet despite all these obstacles, there's something compelling about the core insight. We genuinely are surrounded by wasted computational capacity. The smartphone in your pocket contains more processing power than was used to land humans on the moon, and it spends most of its time checking for email notifications. Your laptop probably idles 90% of the time. These distributed resources represent real potential value that nobody's effectively harnessed at scale. Maybe Tesla's approach isn't the answer. Maybe the technical and economic barriers prove insurmountable, but somebody somewhere is eventually going to figure out how to tap into all this dormant computing power efficiently. Whether it's through vehicles, phones, home appliances, or some combination we haven't imagined yet, the underlying principle makes too much sense to ignore forever.
Our question was, the future of the American car, would it be Detroit or Silicon Valley?
The world needs cheaper EVs, but Tesla has historically been the only automaker outside China making electric vehicles profitably.
The top 10 car companies are going to be Tesla, followed by 9 Chinese car companies. I think they might not be wrong.
All the companies we interviewed in Silicon Valley, Tesla is the only one that survived a decade later. All the others went bankrupt.
Chinese car companies are extremely competitive. by far our toughest competition is in China.
The real question isn't whether Musk's specific vision succeeds, it's whether this conversation sparks innovation in distributed computing that leads somewhere genuinely useful. Perhaps Tesla experiments with limited trials, working out the kinks with willing participants before attempting broader deployment. Perhaps they discover specific use cases that work despite the limitations, like processing non-time sensitive workloads during long charging sessions. Or perhaps this idea remains a fascinating footnote in Tesla's history, an ambitious concept that never quite materialized. What's undeniable is that our relationship with computing resources is changing. We're moving away from the model where processing happens in distant server farms toward edge computing, where calculations occur closer to where data originates. Tesla's vehicles already represent powerful edge computing nodes for their own purposes. Extending that capability to handle additional tasks isn't conceptually crazy. It's the execution details that get complicated. The next chapter in this story probably unfolds over the next few years as Tesla continues developing AI-5 and expanding their fleet. Whether we see announcements about distributed computing trials or this idea quietly fades away, it's pushed us to think differently about computational infrastructure and resource utilization. And sometimes that's valuable all by itself. That's it for today, folks. See you in the next video.
How much did you put into this company?
Oh, man.
Don't tell me you don't know.
No, I do. It's about $55 million. Well, I think if you make a compelling electric car, people will buy it, no question about it. I mean, electric car sales in China are gigantic.
Oh, look at that. The truck needed more room. Awesome. That was really good. That was very reactive.
I thought at the time, I thought most likely we would fail.
You did?
Yeah.
What about now?
Now I think we will most likely succeed.
Did not expect that, man. I know I've seen video clips of it backing up and scenarios like that, but I did not expect that.
10 years ago, this company was how many people?
We had about 500 people.
And now?
We're almost 50,000 people.
As Tesla calls it, gigacasting. It's a common manufacturing technique that can be used to make all sorts of things.
The Tesla Model Y will be the best-selling car of any kind on Earth.
We are going to be using effectively a form of armored glass for the car. I think really the goal of Tesla Motors is to help accelerate the advent of the electric vehicle.